Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back. It's been 1,736 days since we have had cocktails. So welcome to Cocktails in the Midst of Conclave. I am your host, and I'm your
moderator.
host, and moderator. Thank you. Father Rob Sinatra, pastor here in my parish, which you should know already, but if not, oh well. We are joined with our other co-host and better half, the Bubba. Okay. All right. So we're working with Father Sikowski, see if we can get him up here. And of course, there is the big white collar, also known as Father Infante, who is a good friend, and we're happy to be here.
Viva la Pianono.
Yeah, viva la Pianono. We're going to talk about Pianono a little bit tonight.
That's right.
So,
right. When I first went to Rome, that was the one statue I was looking for all over the place, and I found it in the courtyard of the monastery in Assisi. It was great.
All right. While we're working on getting Father Dave on, I'd like to make an official statement, if I might.
If you yes, please make your official statement.
Okay. My participation in tonight's event is as an individual and person of faith, and am in no way, shape, or form representing any organization in which I have served as a spokesperson currently, or in the past, or in the future. The opinions I will express are totally and completely my own as a private citizen and not meant to be representative of any public or private organization from which I am employed or contracted or have been employed or contracted or where I served or have served as a volunteer. I will be attempting to be somewhat funny during this live stream, as humor is subjective. It does not matter whether or not you want to laugh. I personally think I am hilarious, and I feel obligated to do so in order to maintain a healthy and relative sense of self-worth and alleviate any pangs of ongoing anxiety. I would also like to take this opportunity to petition Burger King to bring back their original Italian chicken sandwich as a permanent menu item. I have loved it since the 80s, and I believe it is a crime against humanity not to share it more with the world. Furthermore, the safe word is kumquat.
Thank you for the opening monologue. That was wonderful.
Yes, and it's also to prevent me getting a text from my phone. But now we have it on the record.
Yes, you do. Hang on, I just have to text him real quick.
Okay.
Talk amongst yourselves. The Holy Roman Empire was neither holy nor Roman.
Actually, why don't we start with an obscure papal fact?
Okay. We can definitely do an obscure papal fact. What is the obscure papal fact?
In 1983, a mountain in Antarctica was named Mount John Paul II in his honor by the U.S. Advisory Committee on Antarctic Names.
Huh. So wait, there's a mountain in Antarctica named after Pope John Paul II.
That's correct.
Wonderful.
Yes. I also believe the mountain has a penchant for musical theater.
All right.
Oh.
Father, are you there?
Okay.
Hey, welcome.
I was just asking about how to turn it on.
Okay, you are either you really have the lights off, or you don't have your video on. That's my Ric Flair dog.
That's all right, Father. All you have to do is click on it, perhaps. Father is a priest of the Sacred Heart and he's my canon law buddy. We were in Rome together, although we didn't know we were in Rome. So, okay, everybody, what are we drinking? What are we drinking this evening?
I got the straight rye.
Oh, you know what? I have to go on Facebook real quick. I am sorry.
Can you hear me, Rob?
I can hear you. Absolutely.
But we can't see it.
Yeah, so I'm still trying to figure out why I can see you. I don't know why. You have issues? Yes, you have no idea.
Okay, let me go to me. I have to go to my Facebook page.
Looks like the black smoke went from Rome to his screen.
All right, let me go. How do we make it? How do you change the privacy to all this?
What do you mean in the settings? Or on your post?
Facebook, yeah, on the Facebook page.
Okay, if you go to Facebook and you go to your page.
I'm here.
Your all right. When you go to, I believe it is there's some. Let me look at a post I've done. Okay, if you do where the three dots are. I believe. Let me see here. Because I'm walking you through it.
Okay, here we go.
Yes,
I got it.
You got
All
it.
right, we're back. Okay, we're good. All right, now we're public on Facebook too.
Okay, cool.
All right, so so Father, you're drinking rye. Oh, okay. There's Father David. Let me bring him back in. Hey,
There he is.
I've got hot tea. It's ginger.
Oh, no worries. I'm drinking a apricot orange marmalade Negroni.
Good Lord. Have
I
mercy.
admire that.
Hey, Uncle Robbie.
Hey, kiddo, how you doing?
Tired. I
Get
did
some
my
rest.
second AP test today.
Hey, how'd you do with your bio test?
I feel like I got 5 on that thing. It went very well.
Is that good?
Yes.
It's on a 5-point scale. It's 1 to 5. So
Okay, wonderful.
it was really easy, like surprisingly easy.
All right, we'll go
It
get
was
some
kind of
rest.
sad how easy it was.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you, guys. My daughter, the cocky brainiac.
And Bubba, what are you drinking? What are you drinking tonight?
Blurred.
Tell him what to do.
Oh, good choice.
The breakfast of champions.
Okay.
Everything's better when it's aged water. So recently, when I'm also a police chaplain, one of our guys said, he said, "What do you usually drink?" I said, 85% aged water. He said, "The kind aged in the barrel?" I said, "And that would be the kind."
And our good friend Felicia, it's her husband's favorite. Wonderful. Felicia, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching. So, what did you guys see at the beginning of the conclave today? Oh my gosh! Look at this, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. It is our musical guest,
Woohoo!
Ernie Atella. Ernie, how are you? How's Florida?
Florida is awesome, gentlemen. How are you?
Good, good, good.
Wow,
So,
this looks really, really special.
yes, we do. Yeah, we're Frankie, you're muted.
I know. I was discussing things with my gorgeous blonde.
Okay, wonderful. Hi, Shell. Hi. Welcome to Cocktails in the midst of conclave. What are you drinking? Oh, hello, precious.
Just water. We drank at Russia.
I'm gonna go get a drink, but I wanted to get. You wouldn't believe the number of browsers I had to try to get here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can't get enough.
I thought I was on time with getting everything together, but so
Oh yeah.
this is what this,
I didn't really miss anything.
no, you didn't miss anything at all. We just got on. Really.
Shocking.
You want a land shark?
So
Awesome. Awesome.
so
Well, I'm gonna let you guys chat. I'm gonna go get myself a beverage, and I'll be right back.
Okay,
so
well,
Bob,
okay,
I
we'll
have
be
a
here.
question for you. Bob?
yes.
Sorry, I'm the only one that calls him that. What was the last pope to be elected who was not also a cardinal?
Ooh.
That was Father Sal Basunda from Trenton.
No, the last archbishop. He was an archbishop of an Italian diocese. I just looked this up.
Urbans? I thought it was one of the Urbans. Wasn't it one of the Urbans?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're getting closer.
Urban the
Was it
Urban-
fifth?
No.
That's
not Urban the seventh, was it?
Nope.
was it the fourth?
Want to try the sixth?
It's the sixth. Is it Urban the sixth?
I knew it was right around that number. I just couldn't remember. But
I actually looked at that. I didn't put it as part of my trivia. But hey, what did you guys watch today? Did you guys watch any of it?
Watch the swearing in.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go
And
back. and watch things.
I enjoyed how they termed it the invitation to leave. I'm like, I don't think they were invited. I think it was a mandate, and I believe they used a what's the word I'm looking for?
The
Command.
vocative. The vocative. Extra omnes. Or the imperative.
It's the
Everybody
imperative.
out.
I'm pretty sure it was an imperative. I don't think it was an evocative or a subjunctive.
Oh, that's Batman, the Rector Doggo. He's got his inner Ric Flair going too.
Rob. Lord Vader, is everything all right? No, get out.
Get out!
What happened? What happened?
Oh, he's father's in the rectory.
He came
with me.
across
He's
the
in
hall.
another. He's across the hall. So I got him all set up with my second equipment from home.
Oh, I was gonna say that was a little funky. I thought maybe it was harder.
He's bilocating very quickly.
He's an amazing dog.
Huh.
He's a good boy. So yeah, I saw the conclave and the opening. Did anybody watch the mass?
No, but
No, I don't watch the mass either.
for our parish mass today, we did do the mass for the election of a pope.
Cool. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Well, I don't have the morning mass. I have a funeral.
I was thinking of that this morning too. I thought maybe I should, but
yeah, I put the fun back in funerals.
How many of those have you had there, Chief?
This is my first one.
How many years have you been a priest and you haven't had a funeral yet?
No. My first drink. He asked me how many drinks I had.
in Conclave.
So this is a little disappointing. Totally unrelated to the conclave, but I went to log into the MLB TV to watch the Phillies, and I have to actually listen to the Tampa broadcast.
Oh, that's because you're down there now. Okay.
Yeah, we're closest to Tampa, so.
There's nothing wrong.
And my wife says there's nothing wrong with that. But
Have you been to the Museum of the American West in Tampa yet?
no. What is that, Father?
It's a lot, surprisingly, a lot of both Native American and U.S. Western art and artifacts
Oh,
in Tampa. You wouldn't think, but yeah, the other nice place to go. Have you been to the Dali Museum yet?
we've only just moved, and honestly, the only thing we did in Tampa was go to a Rays game at Tropicana Field 2 years ago. So we have a lot to explore. So all of those tips are great. I'll definitely make note of them.
And it's in St. Petersburg, so it's close to you.
Okay. Yeah, we're about an hour north of Tampa, but close enough by Florida standards that, that's where we are. We're in a city called Davenport, Florida.
Okay.
So, and Father, it's nice to meet you. I don't know that we've ever met.
Not formally, but I remember you from Cocktails in the Midst of Corona.
Thank you.
By the way, if you didn't see the video, it's 1,736 days since we were all on together.
It doesn't seem that long.
No, it does not. Not at all.
and yet it feels like an eternity.
And yet it is an eternity. It was half of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about getting. If you want a T-shirt, I will order T-shirts for you, and then I'll mail them out. It was too expensive to actually ship them to everybody to where you guys were, so I will work on that. I'll work on
Well, I'll
that.
see you in October, won't I?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll give you your copy then.
It's hard to believe that's coming up too.
Mm. Oh, by the way, there's something on the back of the shirt. Frank, would you like to model the back of the shirt for everybody?
What is it? The second line?
It says Apostolica Sedis Vacans, which means the Apostolic See is vacant in 2025.
Oh, these are different shirts. Wow, look at you two. Okay. I see. I thought you were just going to reissue the Corona shirts. Like, Oh,
Ooh, we lost Father Dave.
Dave,
He'll come
he's
back.
like, I've had enough of you guys.
did you get your banner for the church from the same place you got the shirts? It looks
No. The banner from the church I got from Etsy. There's a guy on Etsy.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
dude!
You do.
I believe there's a case of alcohol abuse by the puppers.
The dog just pulled a whole bunch of stuff.
A bunch of
Right?
wires.
Right?
I'll be fine. Give
What
me a second.
happened?
He just grabbed the cord to my headphones and he just took my whole thing out.
Are you okay? Is your
I'm fine.
setup
fine.
okay?
I'm fine.
You'd
I'm
think
fine.
with all that tech, he could be wireless, right?
Mm. Well,
All right. While we're waiting for Rob to figure out what happened, in one of the most bizarre episodes in papal history, Pope Stephen VI had the corpse of his predecessor, Pope Formosus, exhumed,
yes.
dressed in papal vestments, and propped up on a throne in the Lateran Basilica to stand trial for alleged crimes. The trial, known as the Synodus Horrenda or Cadaver Synod, ended with the corpse being declared guilty, stripped of his vestments, and then thrown into the Tiber.
I remember this.
Were you there?
No, but I remember reading it. I don't know where I read it, but it was recent, and I thought that's just strange. Why would you really have to be drinking from lead cups at that point?
Oh my god!
But the irony is they dragged him out of the Tiber also and decided he wasn't so bad after all. It was a different day.
Yeah, that was. Well, that
Let
was
me
back
take
then.
care of my dog. I'll be right
Hi,
back.
Batman. We love you.
All right.
Batman being hard.
Let's see. Shall we go over the Vegas odds?
Oh yeah, millions are on this game.
Okay, here we go. These are the odds as of May 7th, with the papal conclave commencing today. So the betting markets have updated their odds on who will succeed Pope Francis. So here are the top contenders. We've got Pietro Parolin. He's got a 30% chance, and this is all from Sportsbook. We've got no, Donald Trump is not becoming. Oh,
You didn't even get numbers? Because I would have expected numbers for sure.
That was
yes,
just a joke.
30.8% for Pietro. Luis Antonio. I'm butchering things.
There you go.
25%. Matteo Zuppi, because you like
Zuppi.
soup. No Zuppi for you.
Zupa.
That's 15.4%. Peter Turkson is 14.3%. Peter Erdo, 9.1%. Robert Sarah is 9.1%. Okay. Pierre Batista, Pizza Balla. It's a pizza ball.
That's
You
the
know,
one I
that's
was-
gonna
9.1 for the pizza ball.
How much?
Okay. Fridolin and Bongo Basungo. I'm assuming he's from Kenya. 3.8.
No, he's from Congo.
He's from Congo?
He's
Okay. All right. Raymond Leo Burke is 3.8. Kevin Farrell. He's from Europe, right?
No, he's from the United States.
He's from the U.S.? There's
Yeah.
no way in heck. 3.8%. There's no way we're going to get an American Pope ever. Like,
What they
ever,
say
ever.
about Prevat?
Yes.
The Castro.
So we've got, the current Secretary of State for the Vatican is supposedly in the driver's seat here.
Well, if Pizza Bala becomes Pope, you could take the name John, and you could be Papa John.
Papa John, yes, and that'd be a Pete.
That was very quick.
And did you guys technically know? Let me see. I just want to pull this up here. I did it like, let's see. We already said the last pope elected who wasn't already a bishop was Pope Urban VI in 1378. Yes, cardinal. No parish priest without being a bishop or cardinal has ever been elected in modern history. So you're going to see odds of 100 or 1 or 500 to 1, or listed as field or other candidates if a priest would become pope. The odds of a priest becoming pope.
And I'm going to sound really silly asking this, but don't you have to be a priest to get to be a bishop and a cardinal?
Like a parish priest. That's what I meant to clarify. Parish priest.
The Pope could make anybody a cardinal, even if he wasn't a priest. There is a history of lay cardinals. It just hasn't been done in modern times.
Okay.
Theoretically, you could. The Code of Canon Law requires that if a priest or any other person who is not a bishop were not already consecrated a bishop, he would be consecrated right away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But he would enjoy full jurisdiction from the time he elects.
Is anybody talking? I can't hear anybody.
Yes,
Yes, we are. Can
we're
you
talking
hear?
about you, Bob.
Jeez.
We're talking.
Yes.
Rob, check the hookup to your headset.
Hi.
Nothing?
Nothing at all. Kumquat. You guys missed
This
that.
is safe space for you.
You missed the official statement.
Great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That's the face without butter cake.
No.
Oh, he's going to do it to him.
Oh, no.
This is not butter cake.
There's a whole thing around their birthday about butter cake.
Oh, I know, it's hysterical.
I am aware.
Father David, who's Big White Collar? I can't remember.
I don't remember, to be honest.
All
I don't know either.
right, we'll be in the dark. It's fine. I'll ask him when he comes back. I know I should know who he is, and I can't think.
I should know who lots of people are, but I usually don't know.
Hey, Father Big White Collar, remind me your official name.
Yeah. So it's Father Infante.
Father Infante. I thought that was you, but I wasn't 100% sure with the headset and everything. And,
Yeah. No, I know, right?
Hey, Rob, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Rob? Can you
Nope.
hear me? Can you hear me? The homemade butter cake I made this morning. Oh, it's so good, Rob. Butter cake is awesome. It's so buttery.
That's
Oh,
great.
really good.
That's great.
My
That's not helping
my
because
wife
he's
eats
not even
butter
on
cake
right
too,
now.
Rob. You're not eating butter cake. I am.
It'd be better if he was actually on.
I'd say he's not on the
That's
screen right
exactly it.
Even
Yeah.
better when he's not. Hashtag Butter Cake Wars 2025. Tweet it.
Oh, that's great.
I made butter cake today, knowing I would be on here. For the 5 people watching, other than being on here,
And a couple listening.
it's even better when you're on StreamYard.
Oh my goodness.
Is life better with butter cake?
Yes, there's about 2 sticks worth of butter.
It's a lot of butter.
Well, it's basically a pound cake.
Yeah.
No, it's got. Bandit, get away from my butter cake! You're not allowed to have that.
Bandit, get down.
Anthony, I'm sure you need butter cake in your life.
See Bandit?
Have you seen Bandit before?
Oh, I have it open.
You know, I'll tell you, somebody made like a pound cake for us once. I was in seminary.
Here he is.
Look,
Thing weighed like
Look,
5
Rob.
pounds.
look. Can
Yeah,
you hear
it's
me? Can you hear me?
hear you.
eating
Oh,
homemade butter
don't
cake?
you even. Don't you even. Don't even. Don't.
Too late. Cat's out of the bag, buddy.
That's out of the
Butter Cake Wars 2025. I ate it first.
I had butter cake at home, mom's butter cake, and out of kindness, I didn't go online because I don't want to shame you.
I made it. No, you already shamed me. You already humiliated me on social media. The gloves are off, buddy. It's off. I made this myself with love and vengeance.
Just so you know, Batman is riling up Chloe. Or is that your dog, Frank? Who's
That's
barking?
my dog.
Bandit,
They both sound like Ric Flair.
Bandit, go see Daddy.
Chloe just go. Oh,
Hey, man. Come here, buddy.
I'll pop his head off.
Come here. Come here. Let me show the world my lovely dog. There we go. Oh, there's my dog.
wow, that's a good
Look
guy.
at him.
It's not very flattering the way you're holding him.
I know. It's fine.
Anthony, thank you so much for watching. I'll make sure you get your butter cake.
No, he won't. He's a liar. He's a liar. He's going to eat your butter cake, Anthony. It's too tempting.
Where do you order from?
I got
I
mine
made
from
it.
ShopRite.
Shop.
You got yours from ShopRite. Then I had to have like Wawa butter cake.
Oh,
Ooh, I might be able to
Hey,
get
it was a
Wawa.
response.
yeah.
And then I made my own. I got a
Oh.
recipe on mine.
Well, I wish I'd have known that. I'd have got some before we came home, and I could have had that too.
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything like butter cake here tonight, do we?
No, we have chocolate donuts.
We have
Yes,
chocolate
it's
donuts.
a German thing. And Marilyn, thank you for saying my dog is cute. We think he's cute too.
Oh, it's a German thing. So
Yes.
I'm 100% Italian, so I really can't have
All right,
it.
here's another fun fact that Cardinal Ratzinger, Pope Benedict the 16th, he was a fan of butter cake because he's German. As a German thing, he used to eat it every Easter.
Really? Did you actually
No.
look that up?
No, I'm just making it up.
Rob, in your honor, I'm using this glass that I think was probably my dad's from the vet
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's awesome.
Very
with
nice.
with a single barrel Four Roses.
Very
Ooh, that's a good
That's a good
barrel.
brand. That's a good mix, actually.
Yeah, right.
Solid is going.
Made it all the way down here from Sicklerville in one piece.
Thank God.
Ernie, you want a Phillies update?
I got one. Thank you.
7-0.
7-0. We should
Reality
keep
is
the people, but yes.
Pirates are better.
Bandit, get out of there.
What was that?
Pirates are better.
Pirates are better
The Pirates are better.
someday.
I thought you were from Illinois originally.
Who?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
No. I studied in Illinois. I was
Okay.
commission director in Illinois. I was superior in Illinois. I'm not from Illinois.
Okay.
Both my parents are, though.
Okay.
My mother from Carbondale, my dad from Chicago.
Okay. All right.
I had a good friend growing up who was a Pirates fan, and all summer long when we were kids, we'd play wiffle ball, and it was always the Phillies against the Pirates. And home and away were next door neighbors, were the different backyards.
Get out of there.
Those were the days.
Hey, Batman.
Hey, buddies.
Yes.
Oh, there's Batman.
He's very scared of the setup now.
As well, he probably should be when you freaked out on him.
Well, no, he knocked down the fan. Like he really went. It went crazy.
I think Father Infante whispered in his ear.
You know what? He was over here, and I was just petting him the whole time. I'm like, and he's sitting, everything. We're good.
Yeah, no, he bugs me. So he went and pawed and grabbed the wire, and then it was like we were off to the races.
We're losing you, Bob.
What was that?
We were losing you when you were pulling on the wire.
Okay.
It must be a loose connection.
So while we're fixing that technical difficulty, Pope Benedict the Ninth, he served multiple times between 1032 and 1048, was likely only 11 or 12 years old when he was first elected Pope.
They say the other sources say that he was 20, that he was the youngest pope ever elected.
Yes.
But he was not the greatest pope ever. That he was pope 3 times, and after the 3rd time, he had to live a life of penance and fasting.
Oh,
So Here's one for you. Which was the last pope to be elected who was neither a priest nor a bishop?
Pope Pius III.
No. No. No, I know this one. Hold on. I was just looking it up earlier. Was that Fabian?
No.
Really?
You need to think money.
Oh, well, then it would have been a Medici,
Pope
wouldn't it?
Monet?
Of course.
I thought it was Joe Savalugis from Queens.
Which Medici pope? Do you remember?
Oh, for crying out loud. I knew you were going to ask that.
He came after Mars.
I wonder if I could plug him in somewhere. Here.
After Mars?
After Mars.
I'd have to take the cheat X on this one.
I don't know.
So Julius II was Mars. Remember the warrior pope? Followed by the artist pope. Leo the
Oh, don't. I don't know.
Leo 10.
Really?
By the way, the oldest pope to be elected was Pope Clement X, who was almost 80 at the time of his election.
God bless him.
Mm-hmm.
So the modern conclaves that we've been a part of, they've lasted about like 2 or 3 days. The longest in modern history is about 5.
About 5.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
That's-
pretty short.
Yeah, but that was under different voting rules too, where they only had one session a day, like one in the morning, one in the evening kind of deal.
I thought I read
the, the last 3 have lasted about 2 days. The shortest conclave in history was in 1503. It lasted 10 hours. But the Pope was only Pope for 13 days and then he died. He was a deacon that had to be ordained a priest and a bishop. And then he had an infection in his leg and died.
And the longest papal conclave was 3 years.
Yes, that was the Viterbo one.
November 1268 to November 1271. Conclave followed the death of Pope Clement IV.
Pope Urban VII had the shortest pontificate, 12 days. And the longest in recorded history is, of course, Blessed
JP2.
Pius IX.
Really?
Yep, 31 years, 7 months, and 21 days.
No.
JP2 was Pope for like 26.
You mean JP1? 26 days or 26 years?
26 years.
JP2.
Jump
Yeah.
2.
JP1 was like 33 days.
Now, do you think they picked a young guy because JP won? Do you think they picked Carroll because JP1 just died in like weeks?
Well, I think what Q was probably the runner-up in that conclave. Now, here'd be a question for you to set the way back wind machine. As we know, of course, there's Pope Urban, then Urban II, Urban III, and so on and so forth. Which pope is there a number for, but no Orthodox pope in communion with the Holy See for? One number got skipped.
Would it be 13?
It would not.
Is this during the 3 popes?
It is not. Oh, well, actually, it might have been the anti-pope. There's an anti-pope whose number was never replaced.
Was he the Avignon Pope? Or is that the other one?
Getting close.
St. Stephen Ferrer, where are you?
So who
Yeah,
was
Felicia.
elected in 1958?
1950, John the 23rd.
But when was John the 22nd elected?
Oh, was he an anti-pope?
He was
Okay, so what is an anti-pope?
a pope someone who claims to be pope was not legitimately elected as pope.
And some of them, because of what was happening at the time with all the political intrigue, they still kind of consider them as part of the line. There have been 2 anti-popes in the history of the We had 3 popes at one time in the time of the Avignon papacy.
We had 3 popes in 1978 also.
What?
Paul VI,
Okay.
John Paul I, John Paul II.
Oh, that's true. But not all at the same time. Not all.
You specify that, Father.
No, that then you had to fight to the death. That's what they don't tell you. It's the secret. But we all know.
That's what happens when you get to the 56th day of election. It goes to a fight to the death. That's in the hidden aspect of what's the name of the document? Give me a second. Universi Dominici Gregis.
Universi Dominici Gregis?
Yes, the 1996 document by Pope St. John Paul II.
Modified by whom?
Both Benedict XVI and Pope Francis.
Boom.
By the way, how many cardinal electors does there have to be according to that document? Does anybody know?
I think I have the document on my
I'm
camera.
going to take a shot.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Of course he has it on his bookshelf.
Is it 74?
No, it's 120. It used to be 70. In
I
fact,
thought,
the fisherman's ring, right, the ring that the Pope wears, that they would have to destroy so that they couldn't make any new papal seals or papal bulls after the fact. They were thinking and hoping and praying that when they shattered it, it would turn into 70 pieces, which would mean part of the 70 electors that would become the new Pope.
Ah,
And the papal ring also activates the Vatican's
And there it
nuclear
is.
arsenal. That's not what they say.
unbelievable.
Of course you have it. Of course you have it.
Did you
Is
have
it-
any doubts? Someone recently asked me if I had a book on something, and I just looked at them. I bet you don't have a book of Japanese folk tales.
And no, that I do not have.
But do you have a? I think I have over here. I think I have a book of bilingual Italian Italian English short stories. And
Of course.
everybody's ready reference.
Your 1962 missile?
Doesn't everyone have one on their desk?
I don't have one on my desk. I do have a 62 missile, though. Unfortunately, I can't say it because I don't have the approbatium from the dicastery of clergy.
I don't have the ability to.
I had this propping up my laptop. I know it's not people.
I was gonna do something similar, Rob.
Wow.
And nobody laughed when I said that the signet ring also activated the Vatican's nuclear arsenal.
Yeah, but you couldn't hear Frankie. It was over. You were overshadowed.
I heard it and I laughed, but I
have some priorities.
was gonna put this up there. I don't think that was it either.
Good. Here we are. Now the people are putting up the Star Wars stuff. Thank you.
No. Father Dave just put up Star Wars too. We're yeah.
Frank started it. So.
I'm trying to catch up on Andor second. Yeah.
And then right on top of it, I got to reread this.
I love that book.
Yeah. I had to make sure
I
that
hear
my
that's
copy
double-
didn't disappear. Huh?
Frankie,
I heard that book was double plus good.
That and I had to locate my copy of 1984. So
I finished that recently. I also read Animal Farm recently.
all very timely, right?
Sadly.
Mhm.
all right. Did you reread the Handmaid's Tale while you were at it, Ernie?
I've read both it and the sequel.
I actually have read that, Rob. So
I've read that and the sequel to it.
yeah, it's all very scary, but we won't go there. So
I also just finished a book by Leslie Hoppe. You want something for scripture?
sure. Hey, Frank, what we got?
New Light,
Old
Old
stories.
Stories.
And what's that? What's that about, Father?
The Old Testament. The people that we encounter there, particularly people like the prophets, David, Solomon, and what is some of the theological reflections and points that we hear in the Hebrew Scriptures help us to be better Christians today.
That sounds good.
And then Felicia had a question about the shortest pontificate. I know we talked about it, which would be Pope Urban VII. 13 days before dying of malaria.
He had
Although
bad.
his pontificate's notable for issuing the first known public smoking ban against smoking in churches.
Wow. When would that have been? What year again?
1590.
What did they?
To respond to Felicia's question, no, John Paul I was not particularly old. When he died, he was only 65. But keep in mind, it was 1978, and so expected life expectancies were so much shorter.
By the way,
Even more if you pissed off the mafia.
It was phlebitis.
I know.
nobody knows. Nobody knows. Come on.
Remember, you think the mob has that much influence to bump off a pope?
I think it stops there. They actually have too much respect for that.
I don't know. There was a thing called The Vatican Girl. Did anybody see that? That series?
I didn't watch it.
Some of it was interesting. Talked about an Italian girl who was living. Her father worked at the Vatican, so they lived within the Vatican walls. The girl goes missing. She's murdered somehow. They can't find the body. It's one of those things. I was also listening to a podcast. I know he is a controversial author for lots of other things, but this book was actually recommended, The Making of the Popes, 1978, by Father Andrew Greeley. He's the one that wrote the Joshua series, which are not
Great.
They might be entertaining, but they're not real factual. And they make me angry, but that's a different story. But apparently he talks about what, like the whole concept is, if you go into the conclave as a pope, you come out as a cardinal, right? So he talks about his own thoughts and ideas about the 1978 conclave and then what actually ended up happening, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Now, Francis, he came in with 6 votes, right? Like they had 6 votes of the conclave to get him elected, and Benedict was like what, 5?
Something like that. Historically, recent conclaves have not been that particularly long.
Yeah.
Because I think all those days ahead of time really help.
Right, and some of them, of course, know each other, especially the regional areas.
Mm-hmm.
I foresee this one's going to be a little longer. These guys, the Cardinals apparently don't know each other that well.
What's the most diverse conclave ever? There are 15 countries represented by cardinals that have never been part of a papal conclave before. But this is the most diverse group of cardinals. Pope Francis has done a good job, I think, of diversifying the pool and making it really a universal thing for the life of the church. By the way, this is also a really good book. It's by a former Jesuit. The historical stuff is excellent in it. It's called The Successors of the Fishermen. I forget the name of the author. I can always look it up. But
that's an older book, isn't it, Rob?
Yeah, it came out around the time that Pope Benedict was elected.
Oh,
so,
Benedict. Well, it's not that old then.
You're thinking of The Shoes of the Fishermen with Anthony Quinn.
It is quite a bit older. So to answer your question about the conclave lengths, 1903, Pius X, 4 days. 1914, Benedict 15, 3 days. 1922, Achille Ratti, 5 days. 1939, Pius XII, 2 days. 1958, John the 23rd, 4 days. 1963, Paul VI, 3 days. 1971, 2. 1978, 3. 2005, 2. And then I think that Pope Francis wasn't but about 3 days either.
It was like 2 or 3 days, 2 days.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. I don't know if anybody knows who do you think should be Pope? Who would you love to be Pope?
The
Does
man
anybody
God
have any
chooses.
idea? Huh?
The man God chooses.
Yes, but you have to have somebody.
Father Ed Friel, because he's watching.
I know a priest in Camden who'd be an awesome pope.
Father Anthony
I,
and Father.
I think Father Ed just dropped whatever it was he was trying to
Put
drink.
Louis out there.
No, that being said, in all seriousness, my money's on Tagle or Turkson. But Tagle's problem is going to be administration. And I think Turkson's is going to be getting people to think that he has enough staying power and the ability to also govern the Vatican's bureaucracy and deal with the Italianness of it all, which, in no way to be flippant, is its own reality and a very difficult thing to deal with. Just to deal with the Italian cultural changes, the way that the Italians function in their bureaucracy, because very much the Vatican is very much an Italian bureaucracy. Just its history, its makeup, its culture, and that's very different than the kinds of bureaucracies we're used to dealing with in the United States.
I would love, just because I think it's so poignant for the life of the church right now. My guy is Pizza Balla, not just because his name is Pizza Balla, but I just think because he's a Latin patriarch of Jerusalem, especially with everything that's going on in the Holy Land right now, and I think he would do well in brokering peace, but. Everybody's like, he's too young. Well, guess what? There's something wrong with everybody. They're too old, too young.
We need youth. We need an infusion of youth everywhere. All the leaders are too old, and I think they're out of touch to some extent. I don't think that was true about Pope Francis by any stretch. I think he was very good, but I do think it would be nice if a younger cardinal were elected, someone that might be around a while, maybe have some influence in just the things that we need done.
That was part of the wisdom in choosing John the 23rd, John Paul II, because he was fairly young when he was chosen. I think he was like 58.
56, 57, something like that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he was Pope literally from before I could remember till when I went to my graduate studies in Rome for canon law.
He was already there, or
he died the year I started my license in Rome.
Okay.
Now, do you think any influence is going to be about how the church is growing, like in a geographical sense? Like we know that obviously Africa has the most growth, particularly among young Catholics. There's some growth in Asia. I saw something on Fox about more young Catholics being in the U.S. Although again, I think a U.S. bishop has a less than a puncher's chance of getting into a cardinal getting into the papacy, just because the U.S. is just too influential already. And I think the Italians would be spinning in their graves to see an American pope.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think part of the problem is because the United States has such a global hegemony in so many different areas that particularly people in other parts of the world would be hesitant to elect a United States bishop as pope. So I would be surprised to see an American this round. Prevost at the dicastery of bishops, I think, would have the best chance of any of the Americans. But I've heard a couple people mention Cardinal Tubin from Newark as well, because he certainly has the administrative experience. He's got the long-term globe-trotting experience, having been General Superior of the Redemptorists.
Please God, no. I know him from having to interact with him up in Newark when I was up there studying. Please God, no.
Well,
You can say you could just with refrain from saying stuff.
I'm out of my depth.
They're not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah.
Go about our business. A little bit.
I'm holding out for an Eastern Rite bishop.
Actually, I think that'd be kind of cool. Wouldn't I mean? Have we ever had an Eastern Rite Pope?
I
I believe
mean,
we
we've had to have popes from the East very early on.
But would they have been? They would not have been considered Eastern Rite the way we use that now.
Right.
find
No,
out?
we haven't had a modern one because the Eastern Rite patriarchs were just named cardinals, so to speak. They were elevated to cardinals for the Second Vatican Council.
Right.
Would we have to stand up and pay attention?
Yeah, I can try.
But
Wisdom, be attentive. Amen.
sorry.
It could be a reform of the Latin Rite.
You know what? That's very true, actually. My first experience of that with liturgy of an Eastern Rite bishop having to ask priests who were Latin Rite to take over the Mass was in World Youth Day. I forget where we were, but we were all the American ones. And the bishop looked at us and he said, I can't offer Mass with you all. So would one of you mind offering the Latin Rite so that I can concelebrate? It was the strangest thing I've ever experienced.
Well, they don't have concelebration in the Eastern Rite, do they?
Yes. If memory serves me right, they do.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be by ritual because they all stand around
The altar with behind the iconostasis.
Mm-hmm.
Because their tabernacle is
Right in the
on a
center.
table in the beyond the iconostasis, and it's like there's this big space. The tabernacle is in the center, and everybody is around it.
It's an octagonal altar, isn't it?
I can't remember. It's been a while. The
Yeah.
last Eastern Rite Mass I was at was in Rome. My buddy became by ritual, so they came and did a Mass there. And I was the only one who could sight read music, so I sang all the Eastern Rite chants.
As a tenor, or as a baritone, or as a bass?
Tenor.
Yeah. That's a great question.
Mezzo tenor, actually, probably.
Now let's circling back.
No, Irish tenor, not a true tenor. I'm almost like a in between first and second.
Oh, Robbie boy. Do you think they
The butter king is calling.
would? Do you think they would do another touchstone? Like, for example, Ratzinger was very close to JP2. There was a connection for that. I believe that Cardinal Omella from Spain, the Archbishop of Barcelona, he was close to Francis. Do you think they might want to try another touchstone again, kind of that, or I mean, it's. I mean, do they want? I mean, as much as there were some people who didn't like the guy, I thought Francis's message of like mercy and forgiveness and humility really touched, the hearts of a lot of people. I was talking to Rob, like when I found out that Francis died, like. When John Paul II died, he was like everybody's favorite great uncle that you knew was going to go, and you just hope that he wasn't in pain anymore. Francis got out of the hospital. I thought he was going to make it. And it really hit me in a way that was different than with John Paul II with Benedict XVI.
So if they're going to do that, I think it'd be somebody from the Council of Cardinals. The Cardinal Secretary of State would be an obvious choice in that. I think another, choice would be Tegel or Turkson. Whereas the Cardinal from Kinshasa, while raised the Cardinal, I think would probably be a more conservative on some issues, but might show up as a compromise candidate.
Turkson is a former Franciscan. He was a confrere of one of the priests of the diocese, Father Pete Saporito.
Really?
I've met him. Yeah, he was in Vineland for a couple Padre Pio festivals. He's a neat dude. He's an interesting cat.
He came and talked to us up at the seminary when I was up there in North Jersey. He's a very interesting man.
So Cardinal Turkson of Ghana is regularly mentioned as the leading African candidate. He leads the Vatican's dicastery for promoting integral human development, previously ran the Justice and Peace Council, roles that give him wide international experience. Turkson is respected for his diplomatic skill and strong English language communication. Insiders note that electing Turkson would be historic. He would be the first sub-Saharan African pope and could energize the church in Africa and beyond. Pope Francis sent Turkson on missions like to South Sudan and publicly praised his mission to the poor, underscoring his alignment with Francis and an emphasis on mercy and ecology. At the same time, Turkson's candidacy faces concerns. At 76, he is well above the age when many cardinals are elected. Most notably, he has had a few controversial moments that Vatican analysts flag.
But Frankie, they're going to find something wrong with anybody.
Are you reading from Crux now?
No, I just I had the robot pull some stuff.
Crux Now has done a real good analysis on all of the major players. They did one a day for several days. And if anyone's listening who would like to just kind of read a real quick bio of the ups and downs and the notable highlights of their careers, cruxnow.com, cruxnow.com, would give you a real good read over.
Yeah. Some of this was pulled like from political.eu as well as timesdemand.com. And there's some Crux Now stuff I'm looking here.
Yeah.
Ernie, by the way, Cardinal Tagle from the Philippines. Do you know what he likes to do? Sing karaoke.
Can you imagine the Holy Father beeping down to some
Josie's on a vacation far away. So many things that I want to say. I'm not going to sing that. It's my favorite song. It's not the Pope's. It's one of my favorite 80s songs.
So when I lived in Rome, every Saturday night for my first year, we had convivium. And by that, I meant we sat around in a circle and sang the same songs in different languages. Like every language group had its own songs. There were some that are the ones in English. I'm like, just out of curiosity, you know what any of those words mean? No, I didn't think so. Some of them were things that just would have kind of made your eyebrows go up.
Wow.
Parolin, who's the Secretariat, the former Secretary of State, right? He's had some issues, especially he had a big flub with the Communist Party in China, with the that really put the underground church, the Catholic Church, the real Catholic Church. So in China, there's two churches. There's the underground church, and then there's the Patriotic Church. The Patriotic Church is connected with the Communist Party. The underground church is like the Catholic Church. So they're the little faux pas, not little, big faux pas that majorly affected a lot of the stuff. So.
Interesting.
So Ernie, what you are a musical guest, so like I know you're not the biggest theologian in the.
You would be correct. I try.
What are you? Not that I would say. Tell us what the everyman wants in a. What do you want in a pope? What are you looking for in a pope?
Well,
don't say laser beams. That's my answer.
I would like a pope to continue what I feel Pope Francis began. I mean, I liked the fact that he was unifying and he was open to all peoples. We're all God's children, and I think it gets lost on things that happen, things that go on around the world, and there's a lot of differences. Look where we are karaoke. Look where we are in the United States right now. Like, I'm sitting here as a not a very strong theologian, thinking I don't want an American cardinal to be pope right now. The way that things are in this country, that would be bad. I want a pope who is going to continue what Francis started and try to make us a better example to the world. That's what I think.
Sembra una señora. Come. What is?
You're muted, Frank.
You're muted.
Sorry, dude looks like a lady.
That really helps follow up what I just said. Like, I answered, I got dead silence, and dude looks like a lady is the next.
I just popped out.
No. I like, again, with like Ernie, what I was saying, like Francis's message of like mercy and love, I think are big, strong things. Now, there's a lot of people who say, all right, well, Francis was way too far left. I think he was just trying to be more centrist, and for a conservative, that's left.
Right.
You know,
Correct.
and I get, granted, like some of his messages were a little wishy-washy. I get it, but the
I just
man
want
was trying.
clarity. I want a pope who's clear.
I like clarity is good, but I also think that like the church, you got to meet the faithful where they are, you know, and I get that, like, you know, and the church is, look, the reason why the church has survived is because it has been, you know, really staunch in what it believes, and that has helped it weather the storm of just, you know, the sign of the times, you know, that Zeitgeist, I'm like bringing this
Zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist.
Yeah,
and that's good. Like you need that basis, you need that core, you know, and you know, like the church, like Francis said, like the church is for everyone. Like it reaches out, but the thing is that, you know, people also have to accept it. You know, it's not, you know, but you kind of have to, like, I know if you try to open up the door, like, and again, Father Ed will be, you know, this is what Father Ed was saying, like Francis tried to open the door, right, to some things, to try and at least, you know, try and reach more people. When people, when people, you know, have had a door closed for so long, they're going to try and push it way open, and it may not have, you know, it may not be the best idea to fling the door wide open, you know. Yeah, exactly. Clarity where we're headed is good, but you got to kind of have that dialogue. There's a lot of people, you know, from before who really didn't even think it was worth the effort.
The other thing, too, and this is where I think people really misunderstand Pope Francis. You know, he talked about accompaniment a lot. He didn't talk about saying leave people where they're at or that everything is okay. But it's a question of how people move into greater holiness, into greater conformity to Christ, which is very different than saying anything goes. And I think that's, you know, when he talks about, he talked about, you know, not only the church open to everybody, is that the Father desires a relationship with all of creation. And how do we help people develop that relationship and make it more authentic? How do we help them to make it more real and more holy, and to make it more integral to who they are as people, and not just part of their life, but really the integrity of the whole of their life, not leaving out, you know, one part of their life or another part of their life, but moving and helping them to get to those deeper levels of their faith, where their faith can really change and convert them to live differently. But in a way, of course, it is non-clear for Bob.
I just have a barking dog that you can actually hear off of the microphone in the next room. Go see Father.
Oh, sure. Send him over here. Why don't you?
See him.
Oh, sure.
Buddy, come on, relax.
So
Oh.
Ernie, out of the candidates that we've kind of been talking about, and some of the stuff that's been online, who is it that is there a specific name that you might that you'd like to see, or are you just not?
I don't think I'm qualified to even suggest.
Sure you are.
Huh?
As qualified as the rest of us.
Sure, but
Every
I don't.
baptized male is able to give a name.
Who?
As long as there's no error, you're not in any type of.
Oh no, I understand that. I just don't. I don't think that I've read enough about who's in the running, so to speak. I really leave that to the people that are qualified to make the decision. Like I said, I know what I would like to see in the next pope, or like I said, the continuation, just as a Catholic parishioner, But yeah, I don't know, Frank. I don't think I've done enough research to be able to answer that.
Okay. So what parish did you find a church down in Florida that you liked? A parish?
Not yet. We're working on that.
Because I remember seeing in Orlando that there's this huge cathedral, and I'm kicking myself for not getting there. But I drove past it.
It's got a bridge and all.
That's in the city, right? That's in Orlando City, probably.
Yeah.
It's off the highway. I didn't know. It was in between Disney and Universal Studios.
It's probably. Was it a Catholic?
Oh
church?
yeah, oh yeah. It's huge.
It's a massive complex. I've been there. It's got its own bridge and everything. It looks a little snake-ish inside. It's really bizarre inside a little bit, but it's really interesting. It's huge. So Frank's right on.
There is a Catholic church in Celebration, Florida, that my aunt went to. I'll have to ask her.
If you go there, I think their music minister is still one of the members from Blink 182.
Get out!
I'm not kidding you. A friend of mine lives down there, and that's where she was going. And when I went, she says, this guy was in Blink 182. I died. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
That's crazy.
It really
Did you
was.
play all the small things, or was it just kind of?
No, it would have been great if he was.
Could you imagine a church rendition with the organ?
I'm not
Yes,
With this little old lady up in the. Silence your cell phones. Your hymn is number 472. All the small things.
Well, you could always sing Father Bob's favorite hymn. Oh, well, he's not here, so we'll have to wait for him to come back.
No. In the meantime, maybe I should just go get another piece of butter cake. I'll be
I was going to get some ice
Yourself while you have butter cake.
This is a random question. I know that this might be clergy related, but anybody ever had any of the dreams that kind of set you up for what could be coming in the conclave?
No.
I must be the only one, I swear. Because I had a dream 2 days before the conclave, and I heard the names Clement and Benedict, and I went, what in the heck does that mean to me?
Well, Clement would be an interesting choice, wouldn't it? Because, we haven't had a Clement in centuries.
Yeah.
And Clementissime would be an interesting appellation for a pope.
But Benedict also brings up an interesting point. So when Benedict opened up the Latin Mass and made it more accessible, and I think for there are some places that had it that it was in the way that it was attended, but there were other places that kind of made the Latin Mass like the high Mass of the weekend.
Right.
Which I think is what Francis was trying to address.
No comment.
I know. See, this
No
is
comment.
why
The
we're
last Clement, by the way,
American.
was Clement.
But do you think, like, if you had a Benedict in your dream, do you think it would be something where, that next pope would kind of open up the Latin Mass a little more, or is it something a little more traditional? Do we have a score? Ernie, what's the score for
Game
Phillies?
over.
Oh, the game's over.
Yeah, Taiwan Walker managed to pitch 3 innings and not give up a run.
Thank
Well,
you,
that's good.
Jesus.
I'm amazed. I expected the game to end up 7-6.
He's good on short innings.
He's
By
good
the way,
at
there have been
he
12.
doesn't have to count it on to really do anything.
There's been 14 Clements and 3 anti-Pope Clements.
Wow.
3, 7, and 8 anti-Pope Clements, as well as 3, 7, and 8 Pope Clements. Pope Clement the 14th, 1769 to 1774.
All right. Now I have a stupid layperson question. Now the church is obviously our claim to fame.
I lost your voice. Whatever you said.
Am I here? Okay.
I
no,
hear you.
I hear you. I hear you.
Okay, I have a
I can
stupid
hear you.
layperson question.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Am I here? All right, we're good.
We can hear you. I think it might be Father David.
Okay.
Can you hear
All
any
right.
of us, Father? I think you lost.
Oh, testing.
Father
Can
Jay,
y'all hear me? Because I can't hear you.
We can
Okay.
hear you.
we can hear you.
Yeah, we're loud and
I
clear.
can't hear any of you.
All right,
Uh-oh.
Well, that's random.
that is.
Can you message? Can somebody message him? Maybe you should drop and reconnect.
Yeah, Rob, why don't you pull him out and put him back in? See if that works.
He pulled himself out. That's what I
Okay.
had to do.
All right. Bob him
Is that
back
the
in.
same headset you had before the problem there, Rob?
That fixed it.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, great.
'Cause
So
we
no,
can't see you, man.
I was saying, well, now we can't see Father Dave.
Well, no, I just had to figure out how to go back to the other camera again.
You look like
okay.
a scene from the Thunderbolts movie.
Okay. So no, I have a layperson question. We talk about these anti-popes. How does that screw up like the line of succession from Peter? Like how does that impact that? I mean, I know that we've talked that it's the Rock, so to speak, and that that's a nice phone. And then it's up to France. But the cases like the anti-popes and the Avignon papacy and all these other different things, how does that not break the line? I mean, does it impact the line? Does it affect the line?
No, because it's a single continuous line from Peter and his legitimate successors.
There's always been a legitimate Roman successor. Even like in the Avignon papacy, there was the Pope, right, who was named and elected legitimately, even though there was a lot of at that point, even though they moved to France, the movers and shakers in Rome actually that's a good comment. It just squiggles the line. So even though the Roman politicians and the influential families actually named their own pope, what ended up happening is that all 3 popes resigned, they stepped down, and then a new one was elected from legitimate electors. So even in the midst of anti-popism, there have been legitimate popes.
Is it really true that they all stepped down? Because I know the one would not.
No,
There
as I recall, actually, the legitimate pope did step down. One anti-pope did. One anti-pope didn't. But then they had a legitimate election.
Wasn't it the anti-pope that Vincent Ferrer was in favor of and then backed away from him? I don't think
not my air scholarship.
You know what? The only reason why I know that is because when I preached on Vincent Ferrer, I was struck because he had favored I think it was one of the Urbans, and I think it was an Urban, or it could have been a
Urban
Clement.
6, in fact, that they weren't happy.
Mhm.
And he was in favor of him, and then he went from humility to being very prideful, and he said, "You know what? You're not really, the true pope."
So
And
it began in 1378 when the French cardinals were unhappy with Urban VI, the last non-cardinal. The French elected Clement VII, anti-pope in Avignon, two rival popes. So the Italians were unhappy. So in 1409 in Pisa, they elected the illegitimate anti-pope John the 23rd. Further complicating everything, resolved in 1417 at the Council of Constance when everybody was deposed and Martin V was elected.
I just had the robot do a papal haiku.
I love the robot.
Beep bop boop.
Beep bop boop.
But ironically, one of the things that would come from Martin V's papacy, and Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you cannot appeal a decision of the Pope to an ecumenical council. I think that's Martin V, isn't it?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person, dude.
Let me ask you another layperson papal question. Has there ever been a precedent where a cardinal is selected as pope and he went, "Nah, I'm good"?
Not that we're aware of, I don't think, because the election is held in secrecy. So the person is asked, "Do you accept the election?" And he could theoretically decline, and they would just simply go back to electing.
I thought there was, like, the middle portion of, what was it?
Well, I mean, we've had popes that have definitely stepped down after the job, in the midst of the job.
I am pretty sure
This
there's
is-
somebody who refused.
St. Peter Celestine did that, right?
Yeah, so
Yes.
Celestine V,
Yes.
but he was pope, but it wasn't during the conclave that he stepped down. It was after he had become pope.
Yeah, Frank's
Didn't
saying
he
did
died
anyone-
in like the Abruzzi Mountains?
Yeah, he was a monk basically,
That's what it was.
and he was well known for his holiness
Right.
and his personal holiness, his personal sanctity, and that's why he was chosen.
Mm-hmm.
See if I can't. And yes, you should have all the decrees of every ecumenical council. As she does.
well, Rob should.
I
These
have
are
the
good
Oxford
things to
Dictionary of
buy
the Popes. By the way, that's a good book. If you don't, it's a little book. It's easily gottable. My gosh. Here we go. It's easily gottable, everybody. Stay safe, everybody.
Oh, the
Nothing,
memory.
nothing will ever beat, and Ernie and Rob will understand this, is that my idea during the pandemic of the Eucharistic drones
Eucharistic
to prevent human contact.
I believe that went on for 20 minutes. We
It
debated the merits of that.
The Eucharistic drone.
Oh boy. Wait, let's see. Where are we here? I'm now flipping around in the background. The Florida Panthers lost the second game to Toronto, so they're down 0-2. And the first game between Dallas and Winnipeg is about to begin.
Can you imagine? Like
that double overtime game with Winnipeg, with them scoring right in the final seconds. I sat in my chair. I think I cursed something terrible because I thought, I can't believe that just happened.
I can't believe St. Louis got knocked out. I was hoping they would go back.
How many people that are hockey fans remember, because it just came up on my feed, the anniversary of the longest playoff game in NHL history between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins?
I remember
How many
that.
people remember that?
I think I watched all of that.
I was in pre-theology in the seminary, and I was studying for a metaphysics final, and I had to go to bed, but I was listening to the game a little bit. I'm like, oh, I'm going to turn this off. What?
I remember
something like that.
I remember going to bed because it was too late, and then waking up in the middle of the night turning on the radio, and it was still happening.
Yeah,
Didn't that go to like 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning?
it could have been 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly, but it was 5 overtimes, right?
5
Yeah.
overtimes, and Keith Primo scored the winning goal.
Yeah.
It was Jim Jackson was doing the like they had so many intermission people, and at a certain point all of their recording stuff was done, so they were pulling folks that were in the stands, like important people, hockey people, and after in between periods in the overtime, he's like, and for our guest during this overtime period intermission, I have no idea, but we'll figure it out when we get.
I think if it was going to go into the 6th overtime, it would have been the Zamboni driver.
Here it is. I remember this because we talked about councils when I was in canon law. The 39th session of the Council of Contents, October 9th, 1417. Father, would you like to translate? Frequentes generalium consiliorum celebrato agri dominici precipua cultura est quae vespes spinas et tribulos edesium errorum et schismaticum extirpat excessus corrigit deforma reformat et vineam.
Wash with light colors, cold water only.
And I think what Rob wants to say is the frequent holding of general councils is a preeminent means of cultivating the Lord's patrimony. It roots out the briars, thorns, and thistles of heresies, errors, schisms, corrects deviations, reforms what is deformed, and produces a richly fertile crop for the Lord's vineyard. I'm sure that's what you meant to say.
I think that's what I meant.
So basically what it is, if we were using the gardening analogy, if there's weeds in the garden, you pluck it out, but the garden is, you're saving the garden, so the garden is still intact and it can produce.
Do you know a faster way to do that?
Prosperous fruit.
Tear it all out.
Burn it.
Yeah.
Burn it.
Turn it down.
Burn it.
Do it. Do it. I was just thinking.
And that's why I think it was this decree of Constance that Martin would later overturn.
I was thinking, it has been so long. This is my friend, Darren Schreck, who I went to college with. I joined in to hear about the conclave, and I heard about Keith Freeman.
Because hockey is about Jesus.
Darren, we've been on for almost an hour and a half at this point. God bless us. So
I would just like to share with the community the level of Tullamore Dew that I have left in my bottle.
Ooh.
You didn't start with the full bottle, though, did you?
I did not.
Okay.
By the way, the 2/3 requirement also was mandated by the Council of Constance. And that was for the praise and glory and honor of Almighty God of the peace and unity of the Universal Church.
So at this point, is it 89 or 90? Is it 89 plus 1? Because I know.
Yeah. Hold on a minute.
It's 88.
It's 88. Okay.
Yeah, and because 87 and a fraction is 2/3.
Okay.
Now, why did for our listening audience or watching audience, why did St. John Paul II really kind of refine the rules for the conclave?
Well, remember, Paul VI had actually issued some canonical norms for the election. John Paul really more simplified them, made them more modern, made them easier to follow, and kind of streamlined the process so the things would be easier and a little bit clearer.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that not having a pope is a bad thing. Like, we can handle it when the pope dies, and then you have the 9 days of mourning and prayer, and then the preparation and the conclave. But the longer it goes, the worse it kind of gets, kind of deal. So you don't want to handcuff as Jason talked about, like putting a lot into it and making sure that they make the right decision and listening to the promptings of the Holy Spirit, right? So you want at least as much of a choice firmly believed in and quickly arrived at as humanly possible for the good of the universal church. But you just also don't want it a simple majority. And I think that's why Pope Benedict XVI changed it back to 2/3. Because
Right.
after a certain point, it would be a simple majority. It would be 50 plus 1, right?
Correct.
And you don't want, like, say there's somebody like you've got, Giovanni, bag of donuts, right? Who half of the Cardinals love, half of the Cardinals hate. You get one swing guy, and he becomes
Yes, I took
Pope,
notes.
Pope, John Paul the seventh, right? And you've got half of the church who's in open opposition to the dude. You at least want 75% approval rating, kind of, or at least an acceptance rating, so you can move forward.
So who runs the church while the Pope is in flux?
So it's a split. The Cardinal Carmelengo acts as the major domo and prime minister, but the General Congregation of the Council of Cardinals can do certain things for the church, including granting lesser favors.
Mm-hmm. And the head of the Apostolic Penitentiary doesn't lose the job.
And one more?
It has to do with mercy and justice. Who else is the other one?
Well, if it's justice, isn't it Batman?
He is the only Vicar General allowed to promulgate laws.
Oh,
I don't know. I can't remember off the top of
The
my head.
Vicar General of Rome.
Okay.
See, this is why we have Father Dave here. He's
really smart. Like, I'm smart. He's really smart. He's like super smart.
Father Anthony.
At least that was the norm on the Pastor Bonus, if I recall correctly.
He's got a big brain, and that's
Father
why he
Anthony's
has
so
one.
smart. He's been the most quiet here.
Look, I'll tell you something. When I was in seminary, my classmates used to make fun of me because I'd sit back, I wouldn't say a word. Then somebody did a presentation on Søren Kierkegaard, who is a philosopher. He championed the quiet ones because they sit back, they take it in, and then they come back or come out with something, and everybody goes, "Huh, I never thought of that." So you just wait. Some point, I'm going to say something. Everybody's going to go, "I never thought of that."
Well, here's a question for Father Anthony then. How come it's the only one Sinatra brother that gets to go to the Eagles games? Why is it that maybe the other Sinatra brother, who also loves the Eagles, has not yet gone to the Eagles game with Father Anthony? It's a question that I think the people want to know.
Well,
I think it's because you're too
I might be
obsessed with
mixing up
butter
one
cake, my
twin with
son.
the other. I might be mixing up one twin with the other. I don't know.
I think that there might be one time where you're going to see a Sinatra wearing, Eagles gear with sunglasses, like, because it's cold, a scarf.
Although when we did
Go to
go,
the game.
He'll be banging in the trunk. Let me out.
Felicia, I think the alcohol is starting to take its effect now. That's what's happening.
I think the alcohol took its effect at minute 10.
I've
So-
moved over to an old fashioned.
So, Frank, you could always come to Davenport and go to see the Eagles play Tampa with us this year.
Well, I have to get a real ID. That's the
No, you don't have a passport? Because you don't
You
need
let
a
his
real ID
expire.
if you have a
Expired.
passport.
I have
Oh,
I don't travel.
I have both. We got our real IDs in New Jersey last year
Yeah.
because we anticipated that we'd be traveling.
Yeah.
Well, I knew we were moving, but I don't know that we knew it would be before the Real ID thing was like kicked into effect.
Yeah.
And we even renewed our passports last summer, so we were completely covered. So we go to the DMV here in Florida, and all they have is Real ID because they were one of the first states to adopt it in 2014. So it was like, okay, nothing to worry about. And their lines were all normal. Like all the horror stories we were hearing in New Jersey before we left, people couldn't get appointments and they waited too long. Like you had 5 years. Yeah.
Well, they kept pushing it back. That's the problem.
Yes, and New Jersey is we're procrastinators. I grew up there. I get it, but sometimes you can't procrastinate.
Rob, since I can't figure out how to put it in the comments section, look at your private chat.
I did. Okay,
Yeah.
so
You could always drive, Frank.
We've thought about it because don't you think now that we have a New Jersey connection in Florida, you know, that we haven't thought about like imposing
All of
like,
New
or at
Jersey
least get
is a-
down there
same
and just
state.
going, hey, Ernie and Shelley, you want to meet us at Hollywood Studios where
It's the
I
same
fight with
state
people to get on
for
Ride
us.
of the Resistance, and if not, then I go completely Sith on people and force choke them.
Actually, you keep talking about the robot, so I need to share what came home with us on May the 4th, but I don't want to interrupt the Conclave speak. So
you can always talk about, hey, look, this is Conclave in the mix of cocktails, right? We can talk about whatever we want.
there was a point that was just posted there. I figured you guys want to talk about that first.
No, that was just about what it was before, right?
Yeah, that's
So-
University Dominican Aegis of John Paul II. That was where you found the link where it had gotten shortened down to a simple majority, and then that was, as you pointed out, changed back by Benedict XVI.
Because it's like, there ain't no way we should do a 50-50.
Well, again, but it goes now if after 3 days you have a day of prayer and reflection, 3 more days a day of prayer and reflection from the top 2, but it stays at the 2/3 requirement.
Now, Dave, does Conclave Mesa stay in for the whole thing? Is that his job as papal preacher to give the day of reflection?
I believe not. Let me see if I can find.
So, Father
I
Anthony
heard
said,
he's one of the honorary ones that stays
Because
in
he was
there.
he was in there. He
I-
gave the
I think
reflection
he stays
before
in
they
the-
voted.
but not in the Sistine Chapel itself. But I thought,
He did. He was in the chapel. You saw him when
Yeah,
they were
he was
closing
in the chapel
doors.
just before.
Conclave
Yeah,
Mesa was there.
because he gave the
Conclave Mesa, if you don't know,
reflection.
is a Franciscan who is the papal preacher. He was the papal preacher under Benedict and Pope Francis. Was he John Paul II too?
Yes,
He was
I
pretty
think
big.
so.
He was a pretty big, like he wrote some important stuff. Conclave Mesa. He's a Franciscan that they elevated him to cardinal, and you saw him in his Franciscan robes with the little cardinal zucchetto on.
what's the Latin word for beanie?
The Latin
So,
word.
Father
for
Anthony
being-
was also, what does UDG mean?
University Dominican Aegis on the Universal Flock of the Lord.
There we go.
That's that's the name of the document in 1996 that Pope St. John Paul II created over papal stuff.
Okay.
You said that translation out loud, and I got what sounded like thunder. The timing was perfect. It was like universal, blah blah blah, and
So it's University Dominici Gregis.
On the
Which-
Universal Flock of the Lord.
nope, not this time. All right. So let me walk over here and show you guys something fun.
Sure, love to see it.
Did your ROM action figure come in yet, Ernie?
It has not. Has it been released?
It has. I got mine.
Not yet.
You have ROM.
I do. Marvel Legends, Hasbro put out a Marvel Legends. It was ROM. And then they also had Banshee, which is my jam.
Oh, your Banshee is your dude.
Yeah.
Where did you get that, Ernie?
Got a lamp.
It's a lamp. No, it's a droid.
Is it fluent in over 8 million forms of communication?
Let's see if we can hear it. Hold on.
I'm quite beside myself.
No
Does it
way.
speak Bachi?
Oh, I'm so confused. Where am I? Did you hear that? They shut down the main reactor. We'll be destroyed for sure. This is madness. I don't like the look of this.
That's
There's
great.
many more.
What's going on? Turn round. I can't see.
Well, that's awesome.
You can even, I won't do it because it'll waste time, but you can take the front mask off.
I can assure you they will
And
never get me onto one of those dreadful starships.
you can set them
That's
up.
a prequel quote.
Yes, it is. You can set them up to, you remember from Rise of Skywalker, they needed to get the coordinates
Yes.
to find the Emperor.
And they rebooted him so he could read Sith.
Yes, it does that. There,
Mhm.
you could take his mask off and see all the wires, like when Anakin was putting him together, and you just shift something, and all of a sudden his eyes turn red, and he reads you the coordinates. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I wonder how much money Anthony Daniels got for that.
I hope he got something. I don't know, but
I mean, because at this point, they just probably just, pull up a dump truck with money, and
Well-
then just dump it into his driveway.
Well, on the
It's
same
interesting to
lines,
know-
how much did the midget get for being in R2D2?
the midget.
I'm serious. No, it's
Kenny?
the truth.
Kenny Baker is his name. Midget.
How much did the midget get in for going into the
Had a
R2D2
glass of
and
water
driving
tonight?
it around like the midget can?
They prefer to be called little people.
I take offense to that, Father Infante.
Well, forgive me. I should have known better. You are right, Ernie. Thank
He's
you.
so
I
tiny.
do apologize.
So, Kenny Baker, who famously portrayed R2D2 in the Star Wars films, received a relatively small salary compared to his co-stars. I'm just reading. That's not. I'm just reading what the robot told me.
It just,
Suggests he earned around $7,810 for his work in the original trilogy.
wow.
So
Yeah,
Baker's
royalties.
role was as a motion capture performer. Also appeared in other films and television shows. And then he got to around a low six-figure sum for the later installments. So the first three he got around $8,000, and then just a lot more.
You'd like to think they get some residuals from all the licensing, but who knows?
Actually, only Sir Alec Guinness got a piece of the pie. He got a 2.25%.
For the first Star Wars film, he got
2.25.
2.25, yeah.
It's
Which
interesting.
turned
I'm
into
reading
$8 million in 77.
I was reading a book of anecdotal stories by Anthony Daniels. I think the book's called I Am C3PO. And it talked about how when the first movie came out, they really wanted to say that C3PO was a robot. They didn't talk about Anthony Daniels as the actor at all. And ruffled some feathers a little bit. But I think he was better compensated for Empire and Jedi. But
Well, at least they whatever they did down the road, they made right, because they do a lot now because they have Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios and Disney. But at Hollywood Studios, before they had that, and all they had was the one ride, Star Tours, I guess it was, I don't know if it was 20 years old. They revamped it. I don't know, Frank, if you know much of that history, but when they were closing it, they would have Star Wars weekend every May, not because of May the 4th, but at that time, just in May, they would do 3 or 4 weekends, and they were Star Wars weekends. So they would have these exclusive things they did at night. And when they were closing the Star Tours ride to refurbish it, they had this big gala event, and we took Jake. I really don't remember how old he was. I want to say 7 or 8, and he actually got to shake hands with Anthony Daniels, and because of Robot Chicken, Seth Green was there. Seth Green, is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Seth Green.
And we got to meet both of them. For Jake's sake, whatever it was not around the time when we had.
Good night, Felicia. Sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. Good night. It was before cell phones and cell phone pictures, which is a shame because we don't really have any photo memories of that. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Anthony Daniels was very, very nice to Jake. So,
Well, go ahead.
one of the twins.
No, I just.
What is that?
Seriously,
That's fighting a cyborg dinosaur.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's where this comes from. All right, allow me to explain. So when we first did cocktails in the midst of Corona, Frank created a character called. Well, actually, Father Goyette had a character from Capes and Collars, a puppet called Fuzz. And so Frank made the anti-puppet Zuff. So Zuff did actually say that he wanted to be in the conclave, but they wouldn't let him. So instead of being the Pope, that he was going to become the Nope, and that he got no votes at all at the conclave. And his Episcopal motto is that Jesus came into the world to kill the dinosaurs.
So we went back into the past to kill the dinosaurs, so that we all might live.
That's why Jesus came into the world, to kill the dinosaurs.
And the lines get drawn.
Again, kumquat.
Kumquat. This is what happens when you invite the secular folks into these conversations.
Right.
It becomes a kumquat.
Okay, because we were talking about this before.
Thank you, Father Dave. That's actually good stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so that document from John Paul II says that these are the people that keep their office: the Carmelingo, or also the papal chamberlain, the head of the major penitentiary. Okay, and these are the folks that take care of reserve sins, and also impose penalties for people who don't do nice things. The VG of Rome, the Vicar General of Rome, and the Cardinal Archpriest of the Vatican Basilica to help keep things running, as well as the Vicar General for Vatican City.
Now,
also the papal head of papal master of ceremonies, because he has to do all the ceremonial stuff, right, for the conclave and the masses.
I would presume that, but I guess he doesn't hold office so much as he's a functionary.
That's true.
Wouldn't he report to somebody though? Wouldn't he be under one of them?
Well, the Camerlengo.
Because they'd be organizing everything to make sure that everything's in place when it happens.
There you go.
Now I have another stupid layperson question. In the history of the church, since the Vatican is separate from Italy and Rome and such, and it's its own country, and I know that it's kind of turned back the barbarian horde in the past, has there ever been a time where when there hasn't been a pope, where somebody has gone, all right, now is the time, the leader of the church is not there, it's time to take over the Vatican?
So remember, the Vatican City State is a modern creation. It came into being with the Lateran Accords. You have to remember that prior to the unification of Italy, it was the Papal States. And so various Catholic kings went to war with the Papal States for different reasons during different times. And that caused all kinds of angst and drama. But not... I guess the closest you would say was probably when Italy took over the city of Rome, and the Pope became a prisoner of the Vatican,
Mhm.
and then that was regularized with the Lateran Accords in the 20s, 27, someplace in there. Does that sound right?
All I know is that Pope Pius IX always talked about himself as being a prisoner of the Vatican. Blessed Pio Nono.
Mhm.
Do you remember which pope was the first one to stop eating alone, supper alone? Because that was the protest. They ate supper alone, unlike other monarchs which would have state dinners.
I did not know that.
John the 23rd. He started inviting people to dinner.
Oh,
And
I would
words were
assume.
in 1929, by the way.
But he would go out to people to have dinner.
Well, yeah, but he would not receive in the sense that of a state dinner or a state supper because he was a prisoner of the Vatican. And John the 23rd allegedly broke that tradition. He didn't want to eat alone.
Well, there's also a restaurant in Rome that talked about. Ben, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for
And
joining
I'm
us
a police chaplain, by the way.
Cocktails in the midst of Conclave. Woo-hoo.
Ben, what department do you serve with?
Ben will get to us in a second, I'm sure. So, Ben, I think we're going to have a Pope by Friday.
Second that.
All right. So he's probably the
What
Camden
is
County
the
Police
PD?
Department. City of
Camden
Camden
County
no longer has its own police department.
What's
So
the county?
they opened it up to the county. And Camden County Police Department actually does a wonderful job with community policing. And they've done a really good job, I think, in taking care of the city of Camden, which is can be difficult. So,
Isn't there don't some of them have to do like a rotation, like before they go into the actual town they want to be a police officer for? I thought there was something like that.
Just another resource I'll throw out there.
hang on, we'll hang on. Let me
Bulletproof
make-
Spirit
Bulletproof
by
Spirit.
Captain Dan Williams.
Captain Dan Williams.
All right, I'm gonna make. Hang on, show that again, Dave. Show that again. There you go. All right. There we go. Thank you. And this is my former deacon and my good friend, Deacon Rich Sampson. And he's joining us with cocktails via distancing.
Deacon.
So, Rich, what are you drinking? I know you like your martinis. What are you up to?
My glasses run dry. I got to come to your room.
Yeah, come to my room and have fill up.
We should get together and have drinks sometime. Like at a Canon Law conference.
I would have been in Albuquerque. I was so mad. There is a martini. He's a martini drinker. But I had ordered. I reserved the hotel. I had reserved my spot in the conference, and I got a letter the very next day saying the confirmation was during the conference.
You should have just said that that's unacceptable.
I can't do that. It was new. Get the new bishop.
And
It's the new bishop. Well, don't worry, because by the way, Ernie, just as an FYI, the 2025 Canon Law Society of America conference is in Orlando, Florida.
Yay!
So I'm gonna go to
Orlando.
I had a Negroni first, brother. I had an apricot and orange marmalade Negroni, and now I'm drinking an old fashioned by Dirty Habits. By the way, Dirty Habits is awesome. It's a we don't have official sponsors. We have stuff that we love, like Father Infante and I love Stone Wolf out in PA. They make wonderful stuff. They make this homemade rye. They grow the rye themselves. It is phenomenal. It's good stuff.
Hey, Rob.
118 proof.
Want some rye?
Of course you
Want
do.
some course you do.
And,
Here's to us.
Few like us, most of them's dead.
Two of them dead.
That's from Zork, by the way, if anybody wants to know. All the big nerds out there. So Dirty Habits will give you all of these spices and sugar cubes and stuff. You pour in the liquor of your choice. You let it marinate, and it's good stuff. So this is my old fashioned. This is my spiced old fashioned, which is awesome.
So Orlando, when?
It's in November.
Okay.
October.
Yes.
October. I'm sorry. I'm a little lubricated at the moment. Not
Would you
super
like to try
lubricated.
October 12th to 16th?
Yes.
And just as an official statement, we can neither confirm nor deny the level of imbibement that any participant in this live stream is currently undergoing, and that any perceptive analysis is mere speculation.
Unless it gives you butter cake.
We're not breaking any laws.
I just have to say it.
I know you do. I know.
We're not recording, correct?
Well,
Maybe.
we are live, and the live stream will stay for 30 days.
For 30
Unless
days.
it stays more permanent on the YouTube.
But also, too, I also have it on my StreamYard. I'll hold on to it for a bit. But that's okay. We haven't said anything wrong.
Oh,
Here's
no,
the
no, no,
question for you, Father Robert. In your wisdom of all things canonical,
Okay.
what would happen if the Cardinals could not obtain a 2/3 majority? Would they be competent to change universal law?
No. Because first and foremost, the institution of the Holy Father is by divine institution.
Well, so is the diocesan bishop.
Well, yeah, tu es Petrus, right? You are Peter, and on this rock I shall build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it.
And against it, is that the words you're looking for?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Did Jesus come up with the first nickname? Is that the official recognition of the first?
Well, name
nickname?
changes were also very important in sacred scripture, both in the Old Testament and New, right? There's all Abram and Sarai, to Abraham and Sarah, Jacob, Israel, like all those things. So they're Saul, Paul isn't, of course, New Testament, but like name changes were a thing. So it just shows that there's a different change in focus and purpose and function. So,
but could you also conclude then from that line and passage from the New Testament that we could smell what the rock was cooking?
He needs butter cake.
He waited all night for that.
I have.
He earned it.
I did.
Oh no!
oh my gosh.
But see, the good thing is you're all leading me to my next question, which is wanting to know who, because I've asked Rob this, so I know his answer, but who has maybe watched The Chosen and what you all think about it? Because I think it's really, really great. And I just finished season 4.
So I think I've gotten through most of the first season. I think it's good as a parable. I think it gives an interesting take on the life of Jesus and the disciples. It's certainly a dramatized version.
Sure.
And we don't know, of course, how any particular one would have lived, functioned, because we don't have a lot of information about how people lived in the first century. We have some, and some archaeological evidence, but certainly the way some things are portrayed are clearly there for the sake of dramatization, shall we say.
Yeah. I think that was a good comment. That's a really good point, Father. I think that what I like about it, so if you've only been in the first season, to me it gets better and stronger through the next 3 seasons because the way that they show certain things, I know that it's not exactly as it goes through the Bible.
If you haven't read this series, I'd recommend it.
Oh, hang on. I'm sorry. Hang on.
That's the wrong person.
A Marginal Jew. It's in 5 volumes. It's probably one of the better looks at the historical Jesus, his life, his disciples, and his co-workers.
Interesting.
Another series that's good.
Good boy.
Find them.
Yeah. Good boy.
If he pulls up Yellowstone, I think we should just shut it off.
All Social Network that looks at particularly the co-workers of Paul as we find them in the letters.
Come here.
That series was real good. Let's see if I can't find a few other things to recommend as we go along for the night.
Is Batman with you?
He is. He's sitting right here.
Good.
Batman, are you here? Carla.
Look at that face.
Batman
Look at that face.
Is he finally ready to roll over for the night or what?
Now he was sleeping in here for a little bit, so like he's good.
So, any other commentary on The Chosen from anyone?
I've seen some snippets on social media, like through reels and things. I think what is great about it is it's bringing people to Christ. I think it's just it's finding a way for people to really, it's the same thing that the Passion of the Christ did. I think.
Yes.
It really it hits home. Like for example, we all how many Good Fridays did we go through as kids, and then even as adults, and you're standing for a long gospel, although not as long as not as long as Palm Sunday, which I believe is the longest gospel. I think we clock in at like 15 minutes or so. But
How much year we're in?
But it really just it solidifies, that Jesus walked among us. God walked among us, and the impact that he had was just so powerful. Like we forget that, obviously God's timing is perfect timing. So Jesus came at a time where the Roman Empire controlled most of the civilized world, and they had Latin as the universal language that everybody spoke. So Jesus and his disciples reached out to people, and the word spread because people spoke a common language. Rather than just in addition to the tongues of fire, like culturally, it was a perfect storm. Like Jesus' word spread because people could talk to one another from different parts of the world because the Roman Empire was in existence. So, and the fact that, we have this oral tradition that turned into a written tradition, and the Bible is the most, well-published, well-translated, book in our existence. But this really, we're a YouTube people now. We're a TV people. We're
right.
visual.
English has in many ways become the new lingua franca, hasn't it? Anywhere you go in the world, you're going to find English speakers.
Yeah.
Even in New Jersey.
By the way, I had years ago, somebody had given me a bottle of, I think it was Chivas, and I put it in somebody gave me a crystal kind of carafe, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just pour myself a little bit. This is smoky goodness of just epic proportions.
Do you like
It is-
Lefroy?
It's so darn good.
How does it compare to the vanilla hooch?
It's better than the vanilla hooch. I guess I had let this decanter for a long time. It is yummy.
Do you like Lefroy?
I don't think I've ever had it.
We can remedy that.
All right, so we'll work on that. So, Ernie, when I come to Orlando, we'll talk about it, and maybe I can, not maybe, I'll swing by. You know,
Of course. Or I'll swing by one way or another.
yeah,
We're
and
gonna make
I promise I won't be a nuisance. You don't have to worry about, like, you know,
We have to stay home and take care of you.
you know, like kind of deal. That was a big thing. I don't know if you called it the same way, Dave. We had these things called pits. People in what was it?
People in
They were
tents.
basically tourists that came to Rome to visit, right?
People in town?
Yeah, people in town. That's right. People in town. They called them pits.
Well, see,
and-
Bob, see, that's where your English is showing. We never referred to it as people in town. Sempre amici in urbe.
Well,
So,
we all know that Father Sinatra's Italian becomes infinitely more fluent and flowing from the tongue after a couple glasses of wine.
certo. Certamente.
Non hai dimenticato che nel codice prima, quando noi abbiamo una referenza alla città, sempre in urbe. Quindi, perché voi americani usano questa parola town, non esiste nella codice.
Non è frase idiomatica all'Italia, solamente una frase idiomatica di inglese, di americano. Un pits, un people in town.
Yeah, un pezzo
So,
di-
allora,
by this conversation,
Allora,
being that was one.
allora, per me è solamente allora
Sì.
voglio più alto di altre cose per il mio gemello. Vai negli Stati Uniti a Roma con me. Allora per visitare la città eterna.
You had to start him up, Frank.
Insieme.
Wait, there's more. E solo grazie alla mia volontà ci metto in moto la mia mente.
Bravo.
All I was saying is that the only person in town that I really wanted to come during my 3 years in Rome was you, Frankie.
I know. And I said, it is by my will alone that I set my mind in motion.
I didn't even know we were going to have a Dune reference tonight. Oh, my gosh.
Yes, e solo grazie alla mia volanta ci metto in moto la mia mente.
So did you actually like Dune?
The first movie was fantastic. The Villanueva first episode of Dune, off the hook, awesome. The second one, it was okay. Visually stunning. I didn't like the tension that they kind of created because it wasn't in the books. The third movie, really, Dune itself ended with the second movie. That's when Dune ends, right? The first book ends. They, Chani and Paul actually have a child that gets killed when the Harkonnen and the Sardaukar attack at the end of the first book. And then the twins are born at the end of the second, and that folds into Dune Messiah. Now, I think the third installment of Dune is actually going to be kind of starting at the end of the original book and into my least favorite of all of the books, Dune Messiah. Dune Messiah stunk. Big, hairy. I'm not going to say it because I'm being videotaped.
Antlers.
Shall we? Huh?
Antlers.
So yeah, I didn't really like it very much. The book. So we'll
So,
see.
what are you reading now?
What am I reading now? A couple things. I am reading the first volume of the 3-book Shelby Foote's anthology of the history of the battles of the Civil War. That is fascinating. It is really, really good. I went to Gettysburg. Oh, hang on. Rich, God bless you. You guys, Rich and his wife Janet are some of the nicest people on the planet. They're really, really good people. So God bless you guys. Love you, pal. And I'll talk to you soon. So I'm reading Shelby Foote's first volume of the 3-volume set of the wars of the Civil War, the battles of the Civil War. Fascinating. He's really, really good. He does talk about he has a great way of creating imagery of all of the facts and data and stuff. So I thought that was fantastic. Also, too, I am getting ready to play in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. If you don't know, for anybody who's a big nerd out there, Dungeons and Dragons did something super smart. They made an open license agreement so that they would allow you to use the rules for Dungeons and Dragons and create your own world. So my buddy Kevin Decker, aka Nash, which is his nom de guerre for dungeon mastering, wants to use Ghostfire Games Grim Hollow as a campaign setting, which is basically dark fantasy, dark horror kind of Dungeons and Dragons kind of stuff. I created a character that I'm very excited in playing. So I'm reading the player's guide so can kind of get a feel of all of that. So that's kind of the stuff that I'm reading right now.
So just out of curiosity, you know who Gary Gygax is?
Yeah, of course I know who Gary Gygax is.
Do you know
Absolutely.
what his son's name is?
What was that?
What's his son's name?
I do not know his son's name. Do you know?
Ernie passed away.
But it was Gary's son.
Yes.
I didn't
Have you
know.
read the book Slaying the Dragon yet by Ben Briggs?
No.
Ben Riggs? I'm reading it now. It's on the history of Dungeons and Dragons and TSR in general.
There was another book that was written by a Swede. What was the name of it? I don't have it.
It's on my meatballs.
No. Hang on. Give me a second.
All right. In the meantime, let me see if this will come through. Since you mentioned Civil War. My dearest Rebecca, our alcohol supplies during the live stream about cocktails with the Conclave are dangerously low. Morale is complacent as we scrounge for the next alcoholic beverage to consume. The Reverend Sinatra, dismayed by his lack of butter cake, has fallen into a malaise I fear he will never recover from. I only pray that the Papal Conclave releases its white smoke before more damage has been done. I remain always faithful, your Jonathan.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
It almost feels like a good place to end.
No.
Listen, we've been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes on this silliness.
All right, let me hang on.
So Frank, you thought I fell asleep. I got an alert that the Utah hockey team finally came up with a name.
Yeah, the Mammoth.
Yes, the Mammoth.
I think
Mammoth?
it's a cool name. I like
Mammoth.
the logo.
The logo looks really cool.
Although it looks a lot like the original Nashville Predator, only more mammoth-like. But very similar. So yeah, sorry, I wasn't asleep.
Cheers for being original.
The PA announcer for the Nashville Predators game is from Pennsauken.
Ooh. Couldn't get a job, so he had to go there, huh?
I'm not sure, but I think he moved down there. But he's got a great voice. He's a good guy. I interviewed him once.
Cool.
For something unrelated to this discussion at all, as I am commenting as an individual, not as a representative of any public or private organization.
Speaking of interviews,
You got something?
how bad was the video?
I can't find it.
No, it was pretty good. Just talking to him over the phone, just typing and coming up with.
Oh no, I didn't mean that interview. I meant the one we did.
Oh no, it's good. It's good. I have yet to compile it.
No rush. I'm sure it'll be a long time before I have a second album ready to go out. So.
No, I appreciate that you taking the time to talk with me about it.
Bob is thinking of a clever comeback. I can tell.
Yeah. So just for those who are watching, Ernie has a really good album. I listened to it on my way home that
I'm actually
night.
behind on my reading schedule.
Yes, and it's very catchy. I like it. I like it a lot.
Appreciate
Ernie,
that.
why don't you plug your album?
My album is called Monochrome Rainbow by my band Atella. And we lost Father David. And it's available streaming anywhere you stream music. Still have some CDs for sale, available by mail order from here in good old sunny Davenport, Florida. But yeah, I've got it. Frank, I actually was shocked. I got my dashboard update last Friday, and I'm in the black streaming the whole $15.
Well, that's good. You can get a Starbucks venti.
I can. When we met that night at my house in New Jersey, I was sitting at $2.95. So a lot of streaming since when the heck did we meet? It was March, was it? No, yeah, the end of March. I think.
End of March, yeah.
Wow. It's been that long ago already.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I'm almost getting to this book. Give me a second. There's a great book that I read. It is the basis. A lot of guys say that this is the precursor, or at least the inspiration, fantasy wise, for Dungeons and Dragons. I just got to find it. Give me a second.
It was called The Bishop.
Don't say the boy's name.
When the discussion was going on, what would the Conclave do if they couldn't come to a decision?
It's called 3 Hearts and 3 Lions. It's by Holger Dansk, a Danish author. I'm sorry. Paul Anderson. I'm sorry. Paul Anderson.
Is he Danish?
Yeah, he's Danish.
Okay.
Is it blueberry or cherry or cheese?
Oh, jeez.
Or lemon?
Elderberry.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
Where did Father Dave go? Did he just get fed up?
I have no idea.
I think it was my shameless self-promotion that did him in.
Nah.
But Paul Anderson, Paul Anderson, called 3 Hearts and 3 Lions. It was really, 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 really good.
Huh. And see, I would have thought that Dungeons and Dragons would have originated in the United Kingdom.
It really basically came out of wargaming in Wisconsin that morphed into like Lord of the Rings kind of things. But there was like what's it called? Blackstone was like this really original campaign with somebody along with Dungeons and Dragons who worked with Gary Gygax. I can't remember what it is.
Are you thinking of Blackfell?
Can't
Yes.
remember. By the way, if anybody wants to, there's the link for Ernie's album. I do have it. Ernie is his life's work. It's really, really good. So I'm sure there's nobody watching right now. So
We got at least 2. It says on mine.
okay.
Oh no, they left.
They left. Oh well, it's almost 11 o'clock. All right.
Well,
So
we have been going on for 2 hours and 15 minutes about silliness.
I have to say this was a lot of fun. This was
much more controlled than, cocktails amidst
Corona.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were left to our own devices at that point. We were half mad to begin with. So
Yeah.
I
was just thinking- I was
have
just
a
thinking about
mass
that.
tomorrow morning, so I have to say good night.
All right.
Nice to meet you, Father.
Good to
Father,
meet
it's always a pleasure.
And
trouble.
we'll definitely be in contact soon, my friend. And worst case scenario, I will definitely see you in Orlando. Okay.
you. Absolutely. And maybe we should do this again as soon as we have a new pope so we can explain. the
Yeah,
importance
maybe
of
we can do that. Cocktails post conclave.
cocktails in the midst of a new Novum Regnum.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Habemus Papam.
Habemus Robertum.
Okay.
Very good.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Habemus papem una presbyterum. Il nome Robertus Presbyterum Sinatra.
Si imponuit nominum.
Pius. Pius. I'd be Pius the 13th.
Would you really?
I would be. I think Pius the 12th got a raw deal. He was a man of great faith and longed for peace in the world. I would definitely be Pius. He's been an inspiration. He's got such a raw deal, and they've given him the shaft, but really just a very holy man who loved the whole world in a time in which there was not a whole lot of love.
American anti-Pope Pius 13, right?
Huh?
We've already had an American anti-Pope Pius 13.
I did not know that. So
anyway, I will talk at you.
All right.
Father
God
Dave,
bless.
always
Take
good
care.
seeing you, man.
God bless.
God bless. Pray for me.
God bless.
All right. Final words, gentlemen, as we bring this to a close. Anything?
May the Holy Spirit inspire the cardinals to make a right choice.
Amen.
That we need. That we need.
Yes. Agree.
Ultimately, our church has been around longer than a lot of institutions, a lot of nations, leaders, dictators, presidents, fools. The church is going to be here whether the world likes it or not. So we need to make sure that that we pray for the cardinals, and that we when the Pope is selected, because I mean, what do they got? They've got 4 votes tomorrow. They've got 4 votes on Friday. It's going to get done. So we have to, this is going to be our the next, the seat. Hi, Batman. The seat of Peter will be filled for at least the next decade, as we hope. It looks like that's kind of the trend. So, I was talking to the religious ed kids that I was teaching. They'll be in their 20s when a new pope will be, hopefully selected, maybe a little longer. and we've got to, this is going to be the direction of the church for the next decade. So we have to, we rally behind the Pope. We pray that the Holy Spirit gives him guidance, gives the cardinal guidance, that, this is the institution where the gates of hell will not will not prevail against it. So that means something, and it means something to not just, the Church of the United States or the Church of, the Americas or the Church of Europe, it's the world, and we have to set an example that we can all rise to be better. I remember, we were at a bar in Wildwood, and Rob, I don't know whether you were ordained yet or not.
No, I was my first summer after my first full year in the seminary.
Yeah, so we were at a bar, and somebody asked you, because the conversation came up. So what is it all about? And you went, Jesus calls us for our reach to exceed our grasp. And that's what we need. We need a church that calls everyone to be way better than we think we can be. And that's important in this world that seems to be on fire. So, this is an important couple of days. Yes, the Pope will be human. He's a human being. He'll make mistakes. But he's also going to be inspired by the Holy Spirit to do great things and maybe say something that'll touch the heart of the world, and inspire a new generation of Catholics. So it's a big deal, and we should continue to pray.
Bishop Robert Barron was on with the EWTN and Word on Fire did a collab, and I forget who exactly he was quoting, because somebody asked this prelate before who they wanted the next pope to be, like who was their choice, and he says, "I just want a man who can proclaim the gospel in an engaging way, right? That the world can hook onto." And that's, I think, what's important, to proclaim the gospel in an engaging way. I think that's what we need. So
it's funny, if there's any American bishop to be chosen as Holy Father, it should be him, because he teaches the faith well, and so many people have come to the faith because of what he has done. I don't think there's any bishop in the U.S. that's been able to accomplish what he's accomplished in terms of reaching the people.
Mm-hmm.
I think if there's any ounce of possibility of a United States representative as Holy Father, he would be the one to be able to do it. And I think it's also apropos that he's in Rome right now doing the commentary.
Right. Absolutely.
Honest to goodness, I really do. Oh, for heaven's sake!
Batman, come on now.
I'll mute myself. Hold on. So, Ernie, any final thoughts as our musical guest?
Stream my album. No.
Music.apple.com.
To all four of us listening. No, I think you've all made really good points, and I don't know that there's anything that I could add differently except to echo the sentiments. I think that it's important that the next pope continues the work that we need to unite the world. The world's definitely on fire. It's something that worries me nonstop. And I have found, I have to say this, it's been a struggle for me to keep the faith. And recently, the end of January, I actually had an occasion to take a long ride with a good friend, Don, who some of you know. And we ended up talking about Jesus for most of the ride. And it was great because, he had been, so quick history, but, when I met Don in high school, he was actually a lector at his church in Cherry Hill. I can't remember which parish at this point because all the names have changed so many times. But the long and short of it is that he's always been a good source of right and of, faith and like a brother to me, guiding me in the right direction. And it was nice to have that conversation because it was kind of out of the blue. And now that we're looking at the fact that that there will be a new pope, I'd like to think that all of those positive powers and the prayer and the good vibes in the direction of this will help us to find the right person to lead us into the next phase of the church and hopefully help the rest of the world in the process. Love to hear that back on replay.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good stuff. All right, so let's look real quick. Where are you? Buddy, stop.
He just wants to do sense. You're muted again, Frank.
I
He's
didn't
going
touch that.
for withdrawal route.
While we're out there, just asking the viewers and you guys to pray for a special intention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so just as an FYI, the next vote is at 4:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time, then followed by 6 a.m., which will be at noon Rome time. Then 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time, followed by 1 p.m. At Rome time. So if it's a quick election, if it's going to be somebody that everybody kind of knows, it'll probably be completed by 1 o'clock. Okay, so look at the 1 o'clock election, the 1 o'clock vote. So we continue to pray for the College of Cardinals. We pray for the whole church. We pray for the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. Okay, so on behalf of our whole panel, for Father David Chakowski, the priest of the Sacred Heart, for my friend, the big white collar, Father Infanti, for our musical guest, Ernie Attella, for the Bubba, who is mighty and just, I am Father Rob Sinatra. This is Cocktails in the midst of Conclave. God bless. Thank you for joining us. And we'll probably come back for an episode of Conclave. Geez Louise on a pogo stick. Conclaves.
Cocktails after Conclave.
Cocktails after
Thank you.
Conclave. So everybody, in the words of me before, and cocktails in the midst of Corona, stay safe. God bless you all.
And remember, no matter where you go,
there
there
you
you
are.
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 All right. God bless, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.